Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Ask the Alumni Council Live Q&A event. I'm Alyssa Bouchard, Director of Education and Programming at Gamma Iota Sigma, and we are so thrilled to have you here today in celebration of Gamma Iota Sigma's Alumni Week, which is hosted by the Alumni Council. Alumni Week is an annual week of celebration during which students, alumni, and industry professionals typically gather in cities across the country to network through happy hours, through sporting events, trivia. There's so many different fun events, and also to give back through community service. And this year, Alumni Week is virtual. We invite everyone to join us. We're thrilled that you're here today. The Alumni Council was created several years ago to give GIS alumni an avenue to stay involved after graduation, to give them an opportunity to connect with local alumni and industry professionals, to promote Gamma Iota Sigma in the industry, and to continue to support students. I am a proud alumnus of the Gamma Iota Sigma Row chapter at Appalachian State University, and through the Alumni Council, I've been able to stay involved as an alumnus over the years and continue to build my GIS network even after graduation. It's been an integral part of my growth as a professional, and students, we really hope it will be an important part of your growth as well in your transition from college to career. So I have the privilege of working closely with Alumni Council leaders, Traci, Sarah, and Mike, who do a fantastic job leading over 23 Alumni Council chapters across the U.S. I can say with certainty that you are in for a treat today. This is going to be a great conversation as I answer your questions about all things alumni. So before we dive in, I just want to touch on a few logistical items. First of all audience members are on mute. This session is being recorded, and it will be made available on our website after the event and on social media as well. And then finally, Traci, Sarah, and Mike will be accepting questions from our live audience throughout the event. You can enter your questions at any time during this presentation in the questions tab that will be on your GoToWebinar screen. So you can enter your questions there for our panelists to answer. And with that, I would like to introduce Alumni Council President Traci Hastings. And Traci, I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, Alyssa. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for tuning in for our Ask the Alumni Council Q&A. My name is Traci Hastings. I'm the president of the Alumni Council, 2016 graduate of the Row chapter at Appalachian State, and currently a professional liability underwriter at Markel. I'm joined by Sarah Johnson and Mike Kelly Jr. Sarah and Mike, will you guys give us a quick introduction, starting with Sarah?
Sure thing. So my name is Sarah Johnson. I am vice president of the Alumni Council. I am a 2017 grad of the Beta Pi chapter at the University of St. Thomas, and I currently work at Travelers.
And hi, everybody. My name is Mike Kelly Jr. I'm a graduate of University of South Carolina, 2014. Currently, I run a small boutique investment and employee benefits firm in Annapolis, Maryland, Kelly Benefits, Inc.
Thanks, guys. So if you haven't heard of the Alumni Council, we're a network of 23 regional chapters across the country with the purpose of first connecting local alumni and industry professionals, promoting GIS in the industry, and then supporting GIS students. So each of our 23 regional chapters are ran by local regional directors who oversee their chapter, plan events, and interact with students. Sarah, Mike, and I just oversee those chapters and provide help and guidance as needed. So if you're not involved with an alumni council near you, please reach out to us and we'd be happy to get you involved. Like Alyssa said, please enter any questions you have in the question box, and we'll take those throughout the next half hour. So for the first question, we'll start with an easy one. How did you get involved with the Alumni Council? Mike, do you want to start with that one?
Sure. Yeah. I guess my story is probably a little bit different than a lot of other people because I was not involved in an alumni chapter when I started off. I live in Annapolis, Maryland, which is a small suburb between DC and Baltimore. And at the time, I think DC had really just started becoming active and maybe even was founded like a year before I even came on board. So I used to help out with the leadership conferences for a while after college and was pretty involved. And then I guess I got older and wasn't invited back anymore. Just kidding. But got a little bit older, so I couldn't relate as much to what was going on with chapters changing. So I sat out for 2 or 3 years, and then I saw this opportunity come across an email, and he said, you know what, I think it's time to get back involved, and here I am today. So pretty a little bit more unique, I guess, than.
I'd say my experience was sort of the opposite. So I was involved from the very beginning with Gamma Iota Sigma. I started the chapter at my university, was a president there for a while, and then I moved on to the international student representative position for a couple years. And then even after that, I continued to be involved with GIS at my full-time job. And I really saw a need in the Twin Cities to revitalize our alumni chapter. It had started a couple years prior, and through a couple different transitions, it had sort of fallen off. So the Twin Cities insurance community is a pretty tight-knit one, and luckily, with the help of a couple other regional directors, we were able to kind of revitalize the alumni chapter in the Twin Cities. But I've just really enjoyed the experiences that it provided me and kept me connected to people in GIS and in the Twin Cities, and just kind of raised awareness about Gamma Iota Sigma and what we're doing. So I've enjoyed it from multiple perspectives over many years.
Yeah, and I started with the Alumni Council after college. I went to Appalachian State, was from the Virginia, North Carolina area, and moved out to Scottsdale, Arizona for a job with Markel. And I didn't know anybody in Scottsdale. So I started the Scottsdale alumni chapter just as a way for me to find an insurance community. There's so many companies that have offices in Scottsdale, and so it's crazy to me that there was no sort of organization for young professionals. So I started that chapter and ran it for 2 years before joining on as secretary of the Alumni Council and then moving on to president. So question from a student. Is there a checklist that you or anyone else made before accepting an internship or job? I feel the insurance industry is so large, and it would be nice to know certain things that appealed to you or were a priority when accepting an internship or job. Sarah, do you want to kick that one off?
Sure. I'll give the best answer I can, but I actually intern at the same company where I work full-time. So, I can tell you the things I looked out for, but I actually I'm going to give you different advice than I actually did myself. So I think when you're in college is the perfect time to try out different fields in insurance, because you have the whole P&C versus life and health side of things. Whether you want to go into more a brokerage side or at a carrier, there's so many different options. So during your college years is a perfect time to have different internships, job shadow different people, take different classes, and really try to feel out what's right for you. I think along with that too, just comes a gut feeling when you're, talking to someone and getting a feel for their company culture. Does it feel right to you? Does it feel like a good fit? So I don't think that there was necessarily a checklist I used. You just have to try a bunch of different things and see what fits with your interests, where you want to go, where your passion lies, and your skill set. So unfortunately, at least maybe Traci and Mike have a checklist, but I don't. I more rely on a gut feeling, I think.
Yeah, I don't really have a checklist per se, but to kind of piggyback off of what Sarah was saying, one piece of advice I would say is take every meeting you possibly can with anybody if you have the opportunity to. And the internships are key, right? Whether it's a big company versus a small company, or if it's an employee benefits firm versus a property and casualty firm, or meeting with different professors. You might have a professor that works for an employees benefits firm and a P&C firm and can kind of help you out, or work for a Fortune 500 company in a small shop, and pick their brains and utilize. Obviously, it's a little tougher right now, but the student chapters throughout the country have the connections, and then obviously through the alumni, if you can get involved, if you're fortunate enough to have an alumni chapter close to your college or where you live, that's you could be 50 people right there you could talk to and kind of pick their brain. And anybody can pick up the phone and call me at any time and just say, hey, I was at Gamma and this time, or I'm getting ready to graduate, and I would be more than willing to have any conversation about anything, even if it's about schoolwork or anything. So you have the alumni network, tap into that and definitely, like I said, just don't be afraid to reach out and utilize every meeting you can possibly have, because you never know what's going to come just from a 10-minute phone call, a 5-minute coffee, an hour meeting. I mean, you never know what could happen.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, it would be really great if there was a checklist for accepting an internship or job. One thing that I always tell students is that everyone always tells you that an internship is like an 8 to 12 week job interview, but that interview goes both ways. And so it's a chance for you to try out a company as much as it is the company to try you out as an employee. And so take that opportunity, and worst case scenario, at the end of the summer, you know what you're not looking for in a job. So I would definitely, like Mike said, explore every option, and just go with your gut feeling. You'll sit there with an interview that I sat in where I was just like, I just knew, I was like, this one's not the right internship for me. And so trust your gut on that, but definitely be open to different options. So another question we got in: did you move somewhere new after graduation? If so, what was your experience like, and are you glad you made the leap? Mike, do you want to kick that one off?
Sure, I'll kick it off because I made a big move. So I went to from Annapolis, Maryland, big, small Irish Catholic family here, very close knit. Hung out every weekend, every day, basically. Went to South Carolina, which was kind of a big jump for us, 8-hour drive. Then I decided to take a job in Newport Beach, California, for Principal Financial Group. So went from interning in a small family-orientated shop like I'm in today to a Fortune 100 company, 200 company in Newport Beach, California, where I knew absolutely nobody. I wish that we would have had an alumni chapter at that time. It probably would have been a lot easier. But yes, absolutely ecstatic that I made that jump. I tried it out. I lasted about 8 months there, and then I actually moved to Tampa Bay, Florida. So I made 2 jumps, I guess, and did another 4 months there. So I did about a year before I joined my family firm. But if I wouldn't have done it, I don't know if I would have had, the stomach or to go out, and I'm in sales. So being able to make that phone call, I don't think I would have had that if I didn't try something new. It's a great opportunity, especially while you're young. I'm not married, I don't have kids still, but I couldn't imagine now, as I'm getting closer with my girlfriend, and probably will be married in the next couple of years, making that move now, whereas when you're getting out of college, you don't really have anything to lose at that point. So I say go for it, take a chance, don't be afraid. And I think one thing that I didn't realize at the time was that I thought it was forever. I thought that it was going to be where I was going to be the rest of my life, and I think that kind of freaked me out a little bit. So try not to think about your entire life in 1 year, or commit a year at a time and just see where you're at and see where you want to be. And but definitely take chances, and definitely don't be afraid to move somewhere far away.
Yeah, I would agree. I moved from, like I mentioned earlier, I moved to Phoenix, Arizona. My grandparents lived about an hour outside of the city, but outside of that, I literally knew nobody there. And I'm not going to say it was easy. It definitely wasn't easy, kind of building a community and building friends from the ground up, but it was so worth it. Like Mike said, you're only like 22, 23, out of college, whatever age you are, one time, and that's the best time to move somewhere new. So when I was interviewing for jobs, I was really looking for anywhere that I hadn't been before. When I interviewed, I said I had no restrictions for location, send me wherever. And I kind of moved thinking, opposite of Mike, I kind of moved to Scottsdale thinking I'd be there for 6 months, and I was there for 3.5 years. I actually met my husband there. We live in Nashville, Tennessee now, which was, again, another place where I knew nobody, but I think always worth the risk. I always recommend it. I've had a lot of people who reached out to me about moving to Scottsdale specifically, and I always recommend it. Worst case scenario, you move back, or you move somewhere that you're comfortable with, but I don't know many people who have regretted moving somewhere new and experiencing something, even if it's just for a period of time.
Yeah, I'd say I'm on the other side of things because I grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I went to school in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I work in St. Paul, Minnesota now. So I never left, but there's always going to be, I think, and don't get me wrong, I'm very happy with the company I'm at and where I live and all that, but there's always going to be like a little part of me that wishes that I would have got to experience that, early in my career and try to move somewhere new. So it's something always in the back of my mind.
And one
So
thing I'd say, I don't mean to step on you, but if you do move to another location, reach out to any three of us, and I'm sure that wherever you go, there's going to be some alumni, whether it's 20, 100, or one, that we have in our database that we can at least make an introduction and help you kind of adjust to that new life. And I didn't mean to step on you there, Tracy, but just wanted
no,
to
no
point that out.
problem. That's great. So we have some recent alumni on the call. So what would be your biggest advice, or maybe the biggest benefit for you of staying involved as an alumni? What's been like the best part of that? Sarah, do you want to start with that one?
I think everyone has their own reasons for, joining Gamma in college. Whether it's, you wanted the professional development or finding a community or helping you to find a job, or a combination of those things or others. But all of those things can continue even outside of college when you're not in organized meetings or, stuff that you're doing with your college peers, but you still get that even outside of college. Provides you a network of people to go to at your company or other companies if you feel like you're ready for a change, and just gets you out there and learning more. So I think that's my favorite part. It's kind of an extension of college, or people that I know have similar interests, similar passions, that I always know that I have that kind of network out there for myself. So it's probably my favorite part about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, Sarah, but building your network is huge. I think it's one of the most important things you can do coming right out of school is how do you build your network and how do you utilize your network, and being able to put face to face and meeting people that you probably never would have met before, just because you have a common thing like Gamma. It's priceless, right? I mean, there's not a subscription cost to be an alumni member. I mean, you can go and hang out and get to know people, and then we mentioned earlier, if you were looking to make a change, or you could pick other people's brains and you could take different meetings with different people and you can get involved to get you introduced to someone at AIG or Aon, wherever it might be. Just because you might not be someone you knew necessarily, but building your network, they might know someone in their network, and it could open a lot of doors for you. So I think being involved is huge. And like I said, I took 2 years off, and I wish I was involved for those 2 years, but got back into it, and it's been awesome being back.
Yeah, I would say building your network is the best benefit. Another one I'll touch on, since Mike and Sarah both talked about that, is the professional development opportunities. For us on the leadership team, two of us have the opportunity to sit on the board of trustees for Gamma, which is, we're joined by CEOs of big companies and incredibly prominent leaders in our industry. And so the opportunity to network with those people. But I would say the same thing's true on a regional chapter level. When I was in Phoenix, we had alumni who had been 25 years out of college and now were branch managers or vice presidents of their company that would reach out and they're like, man, I didn't know there was any Gamma students still around. And they wanted to get involved or sponsored events. I even in my first few years of my career, at one point got like a midterm raise, and one of the things they cited was involvement in the industry and involvement with Gamma. So your employers and your boss's boss want to see that you are invested in the industry, and so I think staying involved after graduation shows that you care about the industry and that you care about your network and your career.
Yeah, I have one more thing to add. I think from all of our experiences in Gamma, there was probably a professional that came in to talk to our clubs or helped us make a connection. And at least for me, I feel like I owe it to those who helped me to go on and help others do the same thing. So whether that's going to present to a class or a club meeting, or just even talking to someone about my job or giving them advice, I feel like that's a really important part about staying involved with Gamma, is giving back to the students, again, because the circle continues. Then those students will move on and hopefully help more people. So just always having that in the back of your mind, that you want to give back to the schools, the students that provided us a really good start to our careers.
Yeah, that's great. So another question we had in, once you take a job after college, is it hard to transition to other sections of the industry? I know in Gamma that we're told there are so many possibilities, but is it hard to move among different roles or career paths once you're in the industry? Mike, do you want to take this one since you kind of moved cross country? And
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I started at a Fortune 500 company, went to a small company, employee benefits, stayed in the employee benefits realm. But I'll just kind of speak on, when I hire people here at our firm, one of the big things I talk about is, look, there's so many different ways you can go in this industry, and there's so many different, even in our, we're an 8-employee shop. So think about a 10,000 place insurance company or financial services company. And I say there's so many different, directions we can go. We can build out these roles for you. So no, I wouldn't be afraid of that at all. I think it's, if you find a company you like and you believe in their culture, stick with them, and they'll find a place for you, and they can help guide you anywhere you want to go. If you don't like their culture and you don't think it's a good fit for you long term, then tap into that network and see where it might fit you well. Because I think any good company will help guide you to wherever you want to go, and kind of it's a mutual benefit for both of us if we can help each other succeed. So no, I think it might seem overwhelming, but there's so many different things you can do, and so many things overlap. And once you kind of get the lingo down, it might be a little bit different here and there, but it all kind of walks and talks the same.
Yeah, one thing I would say, I can't speak from personal experience because I've been at Markel just over 4 years now, but as an underwriter, most of my brokers used to be underwriters, and a lot of the underwriters I work with used to be brokers. And so I think there are definitely areas of the industry that require a certain level of expertise or exams taken, but generally I think it's pretty easy to move around. A lot of companies just want good people, and so if you're a good employee and you work hard and you can build relationships, they can teach you the skills, they can teach you the coverages, but they're just looking for good people overall.
And to your point there, Tracy, I think, you said a lot of underwriters become brokers and vice versa. Everything in insurance is tied together. So if you have underwriting experience, that's probably going to make you a better broker at the end of the day to understand the underwriting side of things, and claims and actuarial, everything kind of gets tied together. So I don't think that should hold you back by any means. The more experience that you get in different parts, I just think it helps you do your job better.
Yeah. Sarah, I'll send this next question over to you to start. What are some of your favorite events that your regional chapter has done? So I'll let you talk on Twin Cities, and then I can talk on Scottsdale and Nashville.
Yeah, so typically, I won't say all the time, but typically a lot of the alumni events center around happy hours because everyone's busy during the day. And so to be able to unwind a little bit after work is really nice. So we've done a couple events in collaboration with insurance societies in the Twin Cities. So we had our Minnesota Insurance Agents and Brokers Association. We had the Plus Association sponsor an event once. So we typically get together. Then we have our GIS alum and just other people from the industry. And I have to say, as a result of our events, I've really expanded my network, and I know others have as well. In addition, we do quite a bit of work at our local chapter at the University of St. Thomas, and we've done some work to bring other universities who don't have Gamma Iota Sigma chapters to events like an InsurTech conference, or even just raising awareness about Gamma Iota Sigma. So I definitely enjoy getting to connect with other professionals, GIS alum, but then also the side of reaching out to students, which my chapter does a lot of.
Yeah, my favorite event from our Scottsdale chapter it was actually my first alumni week as a regional director, and I did an event called BYOI instead of BYOB, and so it's Bring Your Own Intern. So all of our alumni brought the interns. So Alumni Week was in July, interns had just started, and so we had all of our alumni bring the interns from their company. We had a massive turnout. Chances are maybe you've seen like a Bring Your Own Intern happy hour in your city, because it kind of spread really quickly as just a good way to have professionals think about the interns in their company. And the interns loved it, like getting a chance to interact with professionals and alumni in the area. So that was probably my favorite in Scottsdale. Recently in Nashville, we did a mock interview with Middle Tennessee State University, where we had a couple professionals sign up for time slots, and students would come in and we would do like a mock interview and then give them feedback and critique. I'm a big advocate for interview practice. The more often you interview, the better you'll get at it. And so it was really fun to be able to go through interviews with them and offer them advice as they were interviewing for jobs. So we have just about 5 minutes left, so we're going to end on this next question. What advice do you have for young professionals entering the industry now, where everything is remote and there are less traditional in-person networking events? Sarah, do you want to kick that one off?
Sure. I think my biggest piece of advice is focus on one-on-one connections, and don't be afraid to set up 15 minutes or a half hour with people, whether that's at your company or outside of your company, just to connect and check in and see how things are going. I think we can all be overwhelmed with virtual events at times, and it can be hard to jump in if you have a large group of people. So at least for myself, I've been really focusing and trying to nurture one-on-one connections with people. And it's also, you have to be really intentional about it, because you're not just gonna bump into people in the hallway at work, or around the city if you're going to lunch somewhere. So you're not just gonna have those bump in moments with people like you normally would. So you have to be really intentional about setting that time up and reaching out. So I think everyone appreciates that, and it makes it feel like you care, which hopefully you do.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is focus on building your brand, build yourself as a person. It might be a little hard to start off with your network right now. Don't be afraid of that. I alluded to it earlier. Take every meeting with every person that you can ever do, every week, every month, every year. Don't be afraid to meet with someone, and make sure you do it. And then focus, it's time to develop yourself. So don't be afraid of those designations. Don't be afraid to kind of invest in yourself over these next couple of months. If you're not being out for the next whatever it might be, 6 months, could be a year, we don't know, right? So what a perfect time to start studying, start getting yourself ready to go, so that when you have that opportunity, you're ready to go. And then the last thing I would say is, once you have met a couple of people, built your network a little bit, find yourself a mentor and meet with that person on a quarterly basis or semi-annually basis, whatever they're willing to do. And don't skip on those meetings. It's the most beneficial thing you can do, is get advice from someone that's been there, that can help you build yourself and help achieve what you want to go in life.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I would echo what both Sarah and Mike said of focusing on one-on-one relationships. I work on calling my top clients like once a week just to check in. How are you doing? How's your family? Are things opening up where you are? Just staying on top of people's mind. For my job, I travel a lot. Before COVID or the quarantine, I was traveling about 3 times a month. And so now, not being in front of my clients, I don't want to be forgotten. And so I stay on the phone with them consistently. I stay on the phone with my coworkers. I work from home 100%. So this hasn't been a big change for me, but staying in touch with my coworkers who are so used to like the day-to-day interaction with people. And then I would also say it just gives you a chance to stand out from other people. I have been sending thank you notes to my brokers. Everyone loves getting mail. Like, no matter who they are, they love getting a piece of mail that says, hey, thanks for buying this piece of business, or hey, I know we didn't get this one, but thanks for working really hard on that. And so I would say this is just kind of your chance to stand out, reach out, set up meetings. I mentor a student at MTSU, and she reached out to me recently because she had started an internship, and she's like, hey, how do I make myself stand out? I said, make sure you have questions, like use the time that now that you're working from home to get organized and make sure that, you're asking good questions when you're on internship calls. So I would say just use this time to really stand out, because a lot of people are getting into the mundane of working from home, and it's your chance to stand out. Well, with that, we have 1 minute left. So just want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. If you have any other questions, always feel free to reach out to us. Our information is on the Gamma website. We'd love to talk to you if you have any questions about being an alumni, about getting involved with the Alumni Council, or like Mike said, if you're moving somewhere new, we're happy to connect you. But with that, I will pass it over to Alyssa to close.
Traci, Sarah, Mike, thank you so much for sharing your insights with the students and the alumni on the call today. I just want to remind everybody, it's Alumni Week. Please join us in celebrating. Visit our website, gammaiotasigma.org/alumni to learn how you can participate. Hope everybody has a great week. Thanks so much.
Thanks.